Listen up, y'all. This is Fight Court. We are back with another episode. I'm Dean Thomas, your boy. You know me from Dana White Looking for a Fight, Sirius XM, all the UFCs, Karate Comp. I'm a little bit everywhere. Thank God I'm still working in this business. We got my man Ryan Quinn on the ones and twos riding shotgun today with me. But let's get right into it, man. Let's chop this up, man, because you guys had the simulcast during the GFL draft. And I was at the Karate Combat working, and you guys were doing this draft. But I was so excited about this. It really reminded me of an NFL draft, the NBA draft. It's always so exciting for those people in those sports. But this is the first time we've ever experienced this in our sport. And I want to know, man, what was your take on the whole thing? Because you were in the mix.
Yeah, well, we were watching actually the draft, the live draft watch that we had ended up becoming like a round table. It was actually a lot of fun. A lot of guys want to do it again. We had Mateus Gamrot, Vince Morales, Adam Fugit, and Mo Lawal, as well as Nabil, who can't be here tonight. So we're just bullshitting. Like it was a lot of fun. We were talking about.
I think those cast of characters. That's a pretty good group of guys,
crazy,
man.
Right? Actually, a couple people were commenting, "What the fuck? How do you only have 5 followers? Or how do you only have 5 viewers right now? How do people not know about this?" It was pretty nuts. And but yeah, we were trying to follow, see where everyone was going, and it was exciting. You know, I wasn't listening to the actual broadcast, but they did have a bunch of good people on there because we were talking. But I did like how Darren Owen came on, similar to the NFL commissioner, and calling out the next person. It was cool. It was really cool. Some surprising things. I felt that LA and Dubai put together the most solid teams. I really like what
LA put together a solid team.
I did. I liked what they did.
Wait a minute. I got to tell you, Jed Meshew. I can't remember what show he's on, and I just recently did it. I'll throw this in there somewhere, but Jed, he's a fucking brilliant MMA fucking media guy. He rated the LA team as an F in terms of their picks.
Really?
And I thought I had to agree with him.
I got to look up why. I remember liking LA and Dubai. I haven't looked at the picks.
Can I tell you what their first 4 picks were?
Yeah, go for it.
Sage Northcutt, Aspen Ladd, Tony Ferguson, and Uriah Faber.
It wasn't those picks that I liked about them either. I'm gonna pull it up. Well, let's talk about what Dubai did in the meantime. You know, we got Tyron.
Yeah.
Who else did they have? They had here. I got it right here. Hold on. Let me see.
Yeah.
What's going on with their Instagram?
Who? GFL?
GFL.
Listen, it was fun while it lasted. We talked about this already.
That's
the whole idea was fun while it lasted. The
GFL, like they made a new Instagram account or something.
Oh God!
Oh, what a mess! But they did have fun. Of course, Mo came on. He was not. He didn't hide what he felt about what was going on with GFL. And then when he signed off, he called me, even though he knew that I was on the stream. So I'm like, I thought something like really important happened. And he goes, "Look at the screen. Look what they're doing." They put a clip up that said Douglas Lima knocked out Cain Velasquez in 60 seconds.
Yeah, I know. Well, so Mo came on my Sirius show on Monday and called it. I was like, "Yo, it was trash," and I was happy that he was honest about that, because so many times, you know, guys get on some type of platform in public, and you have to be politically correct and you want to be diplomatic about things, but you still have to be honest. If you didn't like it, you didn't like it. Mm-hmm. And he was honest about what he felt about it. And I appreciate that from Mo. I mean, that's a good place to be in life, when you can be honest and just not give a fuck and accept what other people think about what you think about things.
Absolutely. So here, I found what I liked about the LA team.
Please tell me what you liked about the LA team, because I'm looking at the LA team like that's all they could come up with.
I liked Ray Borg. I like that they had Ilma McFarlane. And I think that Chad Mendez in this pool is Uriah Hall. I think that those guys can get together some wins. And Lorenz Larkin. I always like Lorenz Larkin. I know these guys are a little bit older, but given the talent, the average age in this league is 36 years old.
The average age is 36.
Yeah. So given the talent pool, I think that you could be a pretty substantial team. Okay, given we're talking about a team like we were talking about a baseball team, they're going to produce from the back end of their lineup. That's what I think. But Dubai put together a really good team.
Yeah, Dubai. Jed had Dubai as an A-, but I think he had the Brazilian team as an A. I thought he said that he thought the Brazilian team did the best job of crafting the team. I thought Dubai did a good job. I thought Brazil, Sao Paulo did a good job. Their top team is like a C. New York was also an F.
Yeah, New York did do very well.
Yeah,
I was surprised. And they got Sid Outlaw, another one who could win at that. At that, what's going on with the league, but it takes more than one person.
But we all know that they're not really gonna probably have an event.
They're gonna get some events. Like I got a solid year coming out of this.
They're not gonna have a season.
I'm sticking with it. They're gonna have a solid year. I tried to bet Mo push-ups on here, and then I said I'd wear a Jets jersey. He goes, screw that. This dude is trash.
Not even worth it.
He's such a child. No, it's trash. But yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I thought it was a lot of fun to also, I mean, because when you think about it, and I see what they tried to do in terms of those graphics and that AI generation of the
I wasn't
fighter.
crazy about that. I was hating all over that.
Well, the idea is that you want to make it look like these guys used to be, which brings me to my next point about the weight classes. I figured this out today because they have different weight classes.
Yep.
Did you see that, like the weight classes? Yep. And I wonder, like, we don't want to have extreme weight cutting. And I go, well, if you have 10 weight classes, regardless of what those weights are, you're always going to have extreme weight cutting.
You're absolutely right.
People are going to be bigger and still try to cut down. But I see what they did and why they did it. This is my theory, of course. I'm hypothesizing here. That is because they're banking on all these older fighters that were representing these different divisions. They can maintain their integrity of that division without actually having to make the weight. For instance, Tyron Woodley was a welterweight. Tyron Woodley can still be a welterweight, but he doesn't have to make 170. All he has to make is 180.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this is it. You think about Uriah Faber was a bantamweight. He won't have to make 135. He can make 145 and still consider himself a bantamweight. I think that's the reason why they did it. But because it couldn't be extreme weight cutting for like young guys, because young guys are just going to go, oh, there's a 180. I'm just going to move up and be, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think they're just allowing the veterans the opportunity to call themselves what they used to be in their old weight classes and not have to actually make the weight that the rest of the world makes.
You see, you bring up the veterans and we talk, and that's part of the issue here that I'm not really big on. I think that they should have been allowed, like, you should be able, you know how the NBA has that separate draft, like that compensatory draft or whatever? They should have the Legends draft where each team's allowed to draft one legend, and that's like your team captain. And then get behind that, and then whatever a legend may be, maybe two legends, whatever. But then go try to grow the younger market, that younger crowd of fighters, that younger crop. And I think that's how you're going to get people behind a team, because other than that, people are still going to focus on the legend who might not be able to put in a full season.
Well, that's what I asked. So I also had Richie Savage Lewis on yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
On one of my shows yesterday. I said, dude, has the GFL reached out to you to sign? He said, no, they didn't reach out. I'm like, dude, you would beat every lightweight on their roster.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And you could have been like a star for them. But that's not what they wanted. They didn't want up-and-coming guys. They wanted names, old veterans to try to build this league off of. I mean, for multiple reasons why this is a mistake. One, if this is a league and they're having, like, how often do you expect these older guys to fight? Come on.
The way it looks like right now, if you make it to the finals, you're fighting 7 times in a season.
Tyron Woodley is going to fight 7 times in the season.
You see, I wonder if they're doing. This is where I wonder if they're doing it where it's like, this is the team. You're going to fight one of 2 fighters. You don't know who you're going to fight when you fight this, and they're going to flip a coin to see who could send the fighter out first, similar to how they do it in amateur wrestling bouts. That's the only way it looks. If you have someone that you want to keep in your lineup, they got to fight. You got 5 teams, and then you got 2 playoff rounds. So if you make it to, it's got to be 7 times, which is crazy. What are they going to do?
They're going to 6 teams.
Yeah, but you're going to fight. Yeah, you're one team, and then you fight 5 other teams.
Okay, yeah, right. So, but it doesn't make like these guys are really going to fight that many times, or even if they have their backups, these guys are going to fight 4 times a year. It's not like these guys. Like, first off, when you're over 36, if that's the average age, you mean to tell me a 40-year-old is going to be able to come up with a camp 3 or 4 times a year?
No,
that's not happening.
And I tell you what, if they plan on having a season being like 18 months, that's even worse. Nobody cares. It's too long.
Yeah, because you're going to forget about what the hell happened 6 months ago.
Yeah, it's like, even like no one cares about, well, not that no one cares about an Olympic cycle, but 4 years, it's like, shit. It's
but that's what I'm saying. But it's 4 years, but they condense it when the games happen. Everybody cares because it's only like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's 2 weeks. It's condensed and it's 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So again, another reason why not to trust this, or like to trust the idea of the organization, right?
I told you how I would do it. Like I would, if I had a team-based thing, I would only worry about the team-based bouts or the team versus team thing in the playoffs. How I would do it is first of all, I wouldn't even worry about superstars. If they fight, actually, this would promote smaller gyms. How I do it, I would be like, you have a gym and you have fighters, and you could have as many fighters fight within our promotions throughout the year to create your power ranking throughout the season. And then we'll have the rankings based on finishes, decisions, whatever. Now, now that being said, it's hard for a startup promotion to create that volume in their own right, because then what do? I would lease out. I would allow other smaller promotions to pay to have a verified event for the GFL, where if you have fighters from this gym fight on there, then they're scoring, their point system is going to go towards our power ranking. And then that's how you rack up. That's how you get gyms to want to fight in your promotion. That's how you can create teams. And then whoever has the most points in the power rankings, the 4, then you have a 3 or 4 month playoff, because otherwise it's just not sustainable.
It's just too complicated. Honestly, the whole thing that we're talking about is too complicated. But we're going to give him an opportunity. Darren Owens, shout out to him for coming on the show and speaking his piece. Want to give you some love and some positivity. I'm wishing you luck. But let's move on. Did you get a chance to see the PFL fight between Usman Nurmagomedov?
I saw the clips, and I saw the clips, and despite the hoopla behind it, it was a great fight.
It was a pretty good fight. It was people are like, fight of the year, this, that. To me, it wasn't that great. I think sometimes we blow fights out of proportion based on certain things. Like if it was a UFC this weekend, we wouldn't be talking about that fight.
I mean, yeah, I said it was a great fight of the year.
Yeah, well, like that's what I'm saying.
2025, maybe.
It was like for certain reasons we made it better than it was. It was because one, it was the biggest single fight outside of Eddie Alvarez and Jeremy Stevens. It was competitive. Paul Hughes did better than we expected. Mm-hmm. It kind of reminded me of Dustin Poirier and Islam Makhachev in moments, because he was doing better than we expected. And people thought it was controversial. So like there was a lot of different reasons why we could overinflate the value of what this fight was. I'm not saying it was a bad fight. It was still a good fight. But it wasn't like, oh my God, this great fight. Because if it was 2 random dudes that you didn't know and you just watched the fight, you'd be like, cool, next.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what I will say this though, man, the skill level of those guys, outstanding.
Yeah.
That to me is what stands out. Like in terms of just sheer entertainment and excitement, it's okay. But skill wise, outstanding. Paul Hughes, outstanding fighter. Usman, outstanding fighter. But we knew that going in. But they were as good as advertised, as good as expected, maybe even better than I expected them to be. Since you didn't watch the whole fight, I won't ask you who you thought won. And I can't really say who I thought won, but I think it's just more evidence of our bias towards the way we judge things. Usman obviously got the decision, and I think because of our bias towards the champs, they always get to close rounds when nothing happens.
Do you believe in that? And, a lot of people say to beat the champ, you have to beat the champ.
No, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that either.
Actually, I believe you're the champ. You should be putting up more. Like, so I don't believe that at all.
Yeah, I don't believe that at all. But I think but it's not only necessarily with champions, but it's with people that are supposed to win. It's with favorites.
Mm-hmm.
We have a bias that whenever a favorite is supposed to win, especially the close rounds where nothing happens, it's pretty much going to always go to the favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what happened in this fight. He banked in 2 rounds, the 2 first rounds, I thought, because they were close. I think he banked them just because he's the favorite. And then we also have another bias, which is kind of the exact opposite. And Dustin Poirier and Islam Makhachev is another clear case evidence of this, is when the underdog starts to make a comeback and starts to have moments, we overinflate that as well.
We get
excited. Like, oh my God, yes! You know what I'm saying? So, and Paul Hughes had a couple of moments like that in this fight. Like he would hit a switch and come out in a decent spot, and like we would just consider that as like this great move. Like, but it wasn't like offensive that hurt Usman. It was just you reversed the position. You did something cool, but we overinflated that. So we got to try to remove our bias when we're judging and analyzing fights.
Yeah, I agree. And well, we talk forever about judging and everything like that, and it is difficult. I get it. It's a very emotional sport. Anytime there's physical combatives involved, it's going to be emotional. But yeah, you got to be able to remove that stuff and just see what we're scoring, which is why the judges need to let us know what we're scoring and look at it that way. Where's the damage? Where's the dominance? Where's the duration? Whichever duration means. But absolutely.
So I don't know about that, but the winner of the weekend, the big winner of the weekend, was probably Jeremy Stephens and the BKFC.
Absolutely. No question.
Jeremy Stephens absolutely had the weekend of his career. Weird because and it's kind of bittersweet for me in terms of how I feel about older aging fighters. Jeremy's not that old. He's like 37. But aging fighters, they're always looking for that thing. He's got a lot of miles, so I will say that. But aging fighters are always looking for that next high, that next thing. And I'm always like, man, just give it up, man. Like it's over. You had your chance. But Jeremy Stephens, I think, found it. And that gives a lot of other guys hope that, I'm going to find mine too. Mm-hmm. I think that's what the GFL is for, like these guys trying to find that next thing. But Jeremy Stephens found it. But here's the kicker in that. You got to risk something major in order to find it. Because, I think a lot of fighters, they're not willing to risk it. They just want to get a handout based on their name. Oh, I'm so-and-so. I fought in these big organizations. You need to give me a big fight because I'm so-and-so. But what Jeremy Stephens did, Jeremy Stephens was like, all right, the GFL reached out to him. They offered him a deal. He turned it down and said, I'm going to fight for the BKFC. They didn't want to give him the money that he wanted. He said, I'll still fight for y'all, but you guys are making a mistake. And they paid him less. They put the bank of the money on Eddie. They paid him less. He said, but you guys are making a mistake. I'm going to show y'all what's up. So he made a bet on himself. And he went out there and he absolutely killed it. Knocked Eddie out and put himself in a position to where now, if they want him to fight again, they got to pay him.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. Like, if you want to resurge your career, you got to risk something. And that's what he did. Like he put himself on a line and he risked something. He didn't just go, yo, I'm Jeremy Stephens. Y'all owe me a big fight. Like he put himself on a line and took less for the fight than he thought he was worth. It took less just so he could make a name for himself.
Well, I think the fighters should look at it how you first said it. Instead of saying, I got to take a risk, say, I got to bet on myself. And and not just fighters, all athletes. Like, I got to bet on myself. Reminds me of when Aaron Judge, when it was his contract year for the Yankees, and they offered him a contract that he felt was insulting going into the season. And he said, I'm going to bet on myself and we'll see what happens. Went out there, hit 62 home runs that season, and almost won the Triple Crown, was the league MVP. And then they had to pay him $40 million a year. Now, fighters aren't going to see that, but there's something to be said about betting on yourself. I feel like instead of looking at it as you're taking a risk, then there's that thought of risk. When you're betting on yourself, you want to make sure everything's right. Like me, if I was going to bet on myself, I'm thinking of my technique, my nutrition, my discipline. I want everything to cap off because I'm my own brand and I'm putting it out there. And I think that's exactly what Jeremy Stephens did. Jeremy Stephens, I mean, as he trained at Miletich, been all over, been all of major promotions, strong fucking dude. You know, he trained with us at ATT for a little while. And he's in a position now where he's going to finally make that money. And BKFC has it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for him.
Well, you know, I'm all about taking risks on myself.
You bet on yourself.
I bet on myself. I left Top Team at the beginning of the pandemic when everybody was getting furloughed and leaving jobs and getting fired from jobs. And Top Team was still up and running, and I had left and said, you know what, I'm gonna do something on my own. And now look at me. I'm on a podcast with you, Ryan Quinn.
We're not getting paid, but it's
not the point. Not the point.
No, but the point is it all worked out. It all worked out.
The point is that it all worked out for me. Because part of betting.
I never said that.
Yeah.
You know, you are
thank you very much.
With the UFC. You know, you're still coaching fighters. You're with the series. You're doing a lot of shit, man. Good for you.
And that's the point in terms of betting on yourself, is that you have to put everything you have into, or not, at least not everything, but as much as you want to put. The more you can put in, the more you'll get out. But you put something into something else, you have to remove it from something else. And now you create space to allow other things to come into your life. And that's really the key, is that by removing things from your life, you allow space for better things to come into your life. And a lot of fighters don't see it that way. And just in general in life, people don't see it that way. They want to hang out with the same shit and expect more and want handouts and want people to believe in them and trust in them. But the easiest way for you to tell people that, to show people that you believe that you're as good as you say you are, bet on yourself.
Yeah. Because
it's easy to be like, hey, I'm really good, give me an opportunity, but they taking all the risk. You want to show how good you are? You want to tell everybody how good you are? Bet on yourself.
Absolutely.
You take all the risk.
My bet on myself is a little different. Like, I left MMA altogether, but I had to. Like, it was a little bit more deliberate for me. My son was born. It was during the pandemic, and I was still getting paid.
I don't blame you.
I was like, you know what? I put my resume on Indeed. I was like, I think I was making making $150 a week during the pandemic. So like, I was like, I had to make, and I had a newborn, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, I remember, I'll never forget too. You know, I was 33 when I left MMA, and I'm working a corporate job, and I'm walking in there with all these other new hires that are just out of college, and I'm like, oh fuck, where the fuck am I, man? And I'm like, you know what? Let's go in there and show them how it's done. And it all worked out. It all, you know, it's like, it's just, you just got to do it. Whatever's in front of you, see why it's in front of you too, and how you could do the best at it. You know, that's how I looked at it.
Well, I mean, if you approach it in that way, because everything in life is a fight. You know, you're fighting for a better position at the job. You're fighting to get your shit done first. You're fighting for all that stuff. So if you approach everything like a fight, no matter whether it's corporate or janitorial, you know, you do that shit with passion, and you do that shit like a fight.
Yeah.
You're going to excel. You're going to stand out from other people. I just feel that way about anything you do in life. You will stand out from other people when you are passionate about some shit and you treat it like a fight. And if you're a fighter at heart, you know how to do it. If you're not, then you just going to be like everybody else in the fucking bottom of the pile.
I approach everything. That's, fighting is my education. So like that's my trade. So like even if I have issues, obviously, yeah, there's times I can't punch people in the mouth anymore. But like if there's issues where I'm trying to figure out how to market myself to a potential client, when I know there's a competitor coming at them, like what do we do against our competitors in fighting? We exploit their weaknesses. So you're damn right. When I'm calling, look at this company's track record. They haven't done this before.
On his wife.
Yeah. Like I know, like so it's the same shit. And it always works out.
Nah, but you're right, man. It's a fight, man. You gotta attack life in general like it's a fight and say fuck it, attacking this shit. So Jeremy Stephens did that. He was very successful in his approach, and I'm excited for the future that he holds.
Let's talk about the event a little bit more, because that was I know people that were at the fight that were fans. They were like, dude, and it was like it really was a fucking great event. Like Ben Rothwell, and I would love to see that Ben Rothwell Mark Hunt fight. Like Ariel Helwani posted something that it was the most attended event at the arena out in combat.
Almost 18,000.
Crazy.
I just got off the phone with John Marquez, Philly guy who coaches Brady and Piper, and he had a fighter on there, Ito Babataladze, and he said, yo, we got to start going to bare knuckles. It's so fun. It's so intense, but never again am I allowing a guy to fight, because he just was like, dude, it's brutal, man. Like he said, the dude Ito, he won his fight. It's just unrecognizable afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, it's brutal, and I'm not interested in fighting or training motherfuckers for that. Like you're just built different. Like Jeremy Stephens, Mike Perry, these guys, Saba, Hamasi, like these guys are just fucking.
I got a number that I would step into the bare knuckle ring. I got a number in my head, but overall, I'm still doing it.
And they're gonna knock that number right out your head.
Yeah. It's not a number that I'm gonna be seeing, but I remember I actually did commentary for the first bare knuckle event in Canada, the first sanction. Everyone was pretty excited about it. And I remember when they were paying the guys really well. And I remember the matchmaker goes to me, I'm like, you're paying them pretty good. He goes, these boys ain't going to work on Monday. And
no, I know for sure. Man, you're not doing nothing for weeks, man.
Yeah.
You fighting that shit. So he was telling me about. So John Marquez was telling me about a boy that he had. Was clean boxer. Really good. He moved away from the gym and he's been going a while, but it was still good skill set. Knocked out. And it was one of the fights that I had talked about on a previous show. Zed Montanez or something like that.
Yeah.
Knocked out by a dude that just looked like whatever. You know what I'm saying? He ran into a left hook back and put him out cold. But the coldest knockout of the night was Pat Sullivan. I can't remember the name of the guy who did it, but this dude imploded on impact of the punch and just fell into himself.
Yeah.
And you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah. It was all
I said, he got hit with the overhand right. Mm-hmm. I said, oh my God. If that happened to me, man, I'm never fighting again. Ever. I'm never even watching a fight again.
It's so funny how this sport is unfolding. Like, so I remember when we first discussed this, it was either with you or Mo or maybe both. I remember we thought that clean boxers would have an advantage of this because they weren't going to try and use those herky-jerky power punches that you usually see in mixed martial arts, because we don't have the cleanest boxing. Because they know that, you got to protect your hands. It's bare knuckle. You don't want to break your hands. But now we're kind of seeing that the power punchers have an advantage in this sport, which is crazy. Like, to me, it's still, it's not adding up, but the power, like, look at Mike Perry, it's the power punchers seem to really be the ones winning, the ones swinging for the fences.
Well, it's weird because when I talk to Jeremy,
it's a good example against Eddie Hopper. Sorry to cut you off.
But you know what Jeremy Stevens talked about? He didn't attribute it to his power. He attributed it to his skill from studying guys like Floyd Mayweather and Terrence Crawford.
Wow.
Which was honorable, right? Which was shocking and honorable to attribute it to that. But I think it's just so untapped in terms of what we know about it. I feel the same way about MMA. Like it's such a new sport that we still don't know a lot about it. So we just attribute certain things to certain things that we think, oh, this guy's so good because he's so fast, or he's so good because he's powerful. Like we attribute things to just on the surface level. But I think that in bare knuckle boxing, it's even new. It's so new in terms of the way we study it, because like, although it's an old sport, they've been doing it since the 1800s or since the beginning of time. No one has really studied how to do it the best.
Yep.
But I think there's different ranges in which clean boxers are going to have a lot of success. And then some ranges where, like, if you can wrestle pretty good, like, and know how to tie people up pretty good, you're going to have some success. And then good head movement on the inside, like what's his name?
Becoming pretty prevalent. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like Lorenzo Hunt. Like this guy, I remember watching him do it. Like his MMA record was shit, but watching him do bare knuckle, he get in your chest and just be like, and come up with a punch, bat, bat. And I was like, that's a skill in itself that's untapped, that no one really knows how to do. And he probably just figured that shit out.
Speaking of untapped skills, and I don't want to change the subject too much. So first, I do want to say about BKFC, I know we all said this. Well, not the public. I mean, like I knew that this sport had life to it. Like, oh, this is going to be a flash in the pan. There was something, I was like, everyone said that MMA was going to die. It was human cockfighting, blah, blah, blah. Look at MMA now. I was like, at bare knuckle boxing, there's something to it. Not only is it a place where big names could go and do it, whether it's from boxing, MMA, whatever the case, but this sport clearly has life, and it's here. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. Conor McGregor or not, I feel like this sport is this sport's here to stay.
Well, again, you're right. You're not wrong about that, but it's even a little bit more complicated because it's not necessarily really the sport that's really going to do it. I think it's BKFC.
Yeah.
That's going to. Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Right.
Like,
you see what I'm getting at here?
Yeah.
It's
like there's the UFC, but everyone's going to attribute it. Yeah.
Right. Like Power Slap is going to still have a place, but like other little slap organizations are not.
And I hope that they keep staying the course they're on. Like they know what they are and they're sticking to. They're not going to try and get too big and then explode or implode for that matter. Like we're going head to head. We're better than the UFC. Like just keep doing what you're doing and do your own thing, and you'll be fine. That's how I feel about it. But I want to go back. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No. I was just going to say, because like BYB is another bare knuckle organization, and I just don't know if they're going to have the same success in their events as BKFC.
Body boxing.
Yeah, backyard brawls.
Oh, okay. I've actually seen some of them before, but
I was the very first play-by-play guy for them. I commentated their events. It was me and Dada 5000's brother.
It was at the reservation down here, right?
No. It was actually in Wyoming.
Oh, okay.
It was me, Dada 5000's brother, and Chris Bird, the former heavyweight boxer. Okay. And I was the play-by-play guy. So that tells you how that debacle went.
So we were talking about like figuring techniques out. And I think about this all the time. So like wrestling is kind of, for lack of a better word, obvious on what you're looking to do. Jiu-jitsu, more or less, I could see how they figure that out. But who's the first person to think with boxing, if I loosen my arms and make them flashy and just use my legs to get I'm gonna have better punches? You ever think of that? Like, who's the first person to think, instead of making my arms tight and trying to like, who's the first person? Let me just breathe with my punches and make them zippy. Who thought of that?
I mean, I don't know who thought of it, but I'm sure guys like Sugar Ray Robertson or Robinson. I think guys like Sugar Ray Robinson, Muhammad Ali, they knew it. They just didn't know it. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they knew it. Like they knew that like I'm be loosened and then bat, and they knew that, but they probably didn't know how to articulate it and write a book about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's a lot that has to do. It's all that stuff, right? Like certain guys are good at stuff, but they don't know why they're good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're just like, oh, he's really strong. And then we see him working out and go, oh, he's really strong. And go, if you just get strong, you'll be able to do that. And that's not the case. Like there is a a method to every madness. There's a technique to everything. And just because you don't know it doesn't mean that, oh, he's just special. It's just you don't know it. And no one has taught it to you because not a lot of people know it, especially in terms of this sport. Now, think about it. Now, you are a baseball guy, right? Mm-hmm. If you go to a pitching coach, like a major league pitching coach, they'll watch high school kids and be able to pick up every flaw in their pitch.
Right.
Every flaw and be like, you got to do this. You got to do this. A good one anyway. A good coach will do that. Because I know a shooting coach in basketball, and she can look at people and be like, your left leg is pointed this way. You're not getting enough power because you're not moving the ball for it. And she can pinpoint every little detail in shooting a basketball. But when it comes to fighting, it's just like, hit pads, kid. You'll be really good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Shoot doubles. Push sleds. And then you'll get your double leg will be stronger. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the mentality that we have for fighting because no one really knows a lot about it.
Yeah, it's still so new.
But that's why I'm here. That's why I was like, when somebody asked me if I thought, when we talked about Islam, talk about moving up to fight Dricus du Plessis, I said, stylistically, I like Islam's chances.
Mm-hmm.
I just think, it's, oh, man, he's 30 pounds heavier. And I go, man, that doesn't matter. I said, but see what Volk did to him. I said, but Volk is faster than Dricus. And it was hard for Islam to get his bites on what he wanted because Volk is faster and he's actually smaller. It was hard for him to like get deep in on a good bite on shit. But with Dricus is slower. And the fact that Islam can get in easier and be able to manipulate better, I think I like his chances in that fight. Oh, you're crazy, Dean Thomas. I'm like, nah, just fucking. Yeah. I like his chances.
That's my opinion. It's like,
yeah, my opinion. Yeah, I like his just because, and like, I'm like, just because you don't have great technique or you don't know certain tech. And I always thought this too. I always think that, and but it's not the days of like old UFC when, if you took your guy who didn't know anything, I go, well, that's the problem with fighters now. Because remember when we first started learning shit, remember the rate of stuff that we learned? Like we learned new shit every day. And we were excited about going to the gym because we were constantly learning new shit. When's the last time like you saw fighters learn new shit, cool shit, and trust it and believe in it and start using it? They don't. They show up, they warm up, they spar, they drill a couple moves that they already know. They drill them sloppily because they're just using them as warm-ups. And then they fucking hit the bag really hard and get really tired and go, man, go work out. Fighters don't learn shit no more. They're not learning no more.
You're just working out. You're not training.
They're just getting workouts because the sensation of a fight is hard and they feel like they're exerting themselves. So like that's all they're doing in practice. They're not learning shit at the rate that we used to learn back when we were fucking learning how to fight. And that's the problem why guys no longer trust technique.
So 2 things to what we're talking about here. I noticed when I was training for Worlds for Jiu-Jitsu. So I lost to the guy who won it 2-0. And I'm like, man, so I'm going back. What did I do wrong? And I said exactly that. You know what? There was definitely times where I was like, let me just go into an open mat instead of going to drill for 45 minutes. I should have drilled. Said I didn't need to sweat. I already know how to grapple. I should have added at least an hour and a half of drilling into my training a week and took back at least a half hour of live go. Because I'm going to do what I'm going to do. But I got to drill. I got to make sure my technique is good. And also when I was out there, I'm noticing this ultra heavyweight division, going back to what you said, Islam versus DDP. Like, man, dude, I'm so much more athletic than these guys. I would love to fight in that ultra heavyweight division.
These guys. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. You can beat those guys because you can get in on them. And once you're in on them, you can do what you want to them.
Yeah.
Because you're just better than them on the inside. But that's the point. Now, am I saying that Islam's going to beat everybody that's bigger than him? No. But I'm saying that stylistically, I think he matches up well against a guy like Dricus based on the styles that I see them both have. I just think he does. I don't know if he would do the same thing to Sean Strickland, but I think Dricus, he does.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, Alex too. I feel that, I said the same thing if he had to fight Alex. Like, if he can get him against the fence and then get him down, it's over.
Yeah, but again, people don't believe in technique no more because they stopped learning. Like there was at some point in their career, they were in a fight. It was hard. They got tired and said, oh, I don't want to get tired. So I want to just get in shape. And they gave up on technique because the worst thing that you can say, and this is a very common phrase, when technique is equal, it comes down to heart or strength and conditioning or some other factor. technique is never equal.
No.
Ever. It is never like you would teach somebody an armbar very different than I would. Mm-hmm. You would teach somebody a double leg very different than I would. It is never equal. And we have to stop treating it like it's just some black and white thing. Oh, he has technique. Oh, that's it. But it's never equal. You can't quantify it. And shit doesn't, if you do something right in its appropriate time, it's going to work. And if you don't, it's not going to work. And if you try to force it, you're going to get tired. Bottom line. And that's what's happening to guys. They don't focus on doing good technique. Shit doesn't work. They get tired. And they overcompensate for it by going, I got to get in better shape.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line.
When you're just working out like that, that's why, like, I think that relying on sparring, like, that's why ATT got so much better when they stopped sparring 20 rounds a week, 18, 20 rounds a week, because, slowed things down, worked more on technique, implemented actual drilling sessions, and you're just beating yourself up, but you're just like, oh, as long as I got tired, that means it was a good day. Like, that doesn't mean that at all, like, and it's not just ATT, that's around the sport.
Well, any gym, bro, that's what it is. Like, but you're right. But that's the way people measure the progress of their training or their career. How tired did you get? Did you get tired? Yeah. Okay, good. Did you go to exhaustion? Did you kill yourself? Okay, good. Then it worked. But you still can't properly defend a single leg.
Yeah.
Right. You can't defend a single leg, or you can't differentiate between a head outside single and a head inside single, and you don't know the difference between how to defeat either of them, right? So you're just saying, oh, just sprawl and brawl. But somebody gets a different shot on you, and you don't know how to defend it. Like you don't have the proper technique to defend it, and that's the problem, because we don't focus on that no more. It's always just warm up, drill, but when they're drilling sloppy technique, and then go live. Sloppy technique, go live. Sloppy technique, go live. Because I watch it every day. I watch guys drill sloppy techniques, and I go, this is why you fucking don't get shots. Your shot sucks. Your shot is terrible. This is why you don't get shots. This is why you have to push them up against the fence, because your shot sucks and your setup to the shot sucked. Two things suck that you could have got better at, but you didn't do it. You just was like, oh, I just want to get in better shape.
Yeah, that's one thing that going over to jiu-jitsu, I get it. Like, a lot of the guys are there, they're hanging out and everything. But I was running a class, and I was like, all right, I want y'all to drill this for 5 straight minutes. It's just 5 minutes. Okay. I look around after 2 minutes. They get bored. They're just sitting there with their hand. I'm like, guys, the reason why I said 5 minutes, because you're not doing it at all. We have to get these reps in. Like,
well, no, I'm saying, like, that's why I can't train. That's why I'm very selective in who I train.
Everyone gets really pumped for Pan Americans because it's down here in jiu-jitsu, and it's like, oh, I got to get ready for Pans. Like, then listen to me. You're still not doing what you want to get ready with. You have to drill it. It's
not that difficult, man. Like, if you know what your game is, like, now I know some, like, I'm really, like, I've been really deep into competition, like just how to compete better and things. Like, if you know what your game is, and you lean into that. You know what your strengths are. You lean into that. It's not that difficult, right? And then but most guys don't know what their game is or what their strengths are, and they just go out and try to compete and hope the other guy sucks as bad as they do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, know what your strengths are.
I found I have to offensively drill my weaknesses because I have to know how to defend it or stay away from it. Like, a lot of people don't realize that either. Nah, I don't use that shit. I'm not going to drill it. Well, what if you get put there?
Yeah. Like, you should always be defensively sound or competent enough to, if you're in your weak areas, know how to double back and get out of it.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to. Yeah, just double back and get out of it and then get right back to your game. But I don't know, man. It's really hard. But again, this is education. And I believe this education lacks because of the lack of money in the sport. Really, and I use the reference of baseball to you, but it's even more apparent in things like golf, where there's a lot of money and a lot of people make money off of having good golfers around. So when you can have good golfers around, you can have the technology, you can have the equipment, you have the brains studying the best ways to be a good golfer. But in fighting, it's like, no one makes money except for that one guy who makes money, and he's really good. He doesn't really know why he's good. He's just fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Everybody else is just kind of in the gym hoping to get good by working really hard.
With that guy.
Yeah.
Beat up by beating his punching bag.
Yeah, get a bunch of guys that can kick your ass, especially the guy, be his punching bag, and he's going to make you good. That's the benefit. And I don't generally agree that is the reliable answer. Can it work? It can work. But is it the way to make it work? Is that the best way? I don't think so at all.
Speaking of sports, and you brought up golf, what's the hardest sport you've ever tried? I know you tried everything. After you go, I'll tell you what mine was.
Probably golf. That I've like legit tried. I know what I think the hardest sport is though, but I never tried it.
The hardest sport I ever tried was tennis.
Really?
Tennis is fucking hard, dude. You got it. Like you do need to have a certain level of explosiveness, but the way the ball's coming at you, the way it's angled, how you respond, and where you're going to hit it. There's a lot of quick thinking with tennis that you got to be with, and it's so mentally and physically exhausting. I played one round of it. I was like, holy fuck. Tennis. Swimming used to be hard for me. Swimming's really hard too. But golf, I tried. Golf, I started to figure out a little bit, but tennis was fucking hard.
No, dude, I get that, man. I did on an episode of Looking for a Fight. When we shot it here in Florida, we went to this golf shit, and it was like she was like a 16-year-old golf champion, right? Like a junior champion, just 16 years old, and I couldn't hit the serve.
I get bored and I try to hit as hard as I can. I'm exactly what we talk about for the last 10 minutes. I just want to fucking muscle that ball when I'm playing.
She hit it at me, and the first one it just flew by so fast. Second one, I swung and missed by a mile. I couldn't hit the serve. So but in terms of like the hardest sport, I think it's pretty clear that hockey is probably the hardest, the most challenging.
Hockey?
Hell yeah!
You know what? I've only played roller hockey, so I've never tried hockey. But yeah, hockey. It like Sean Thornton always says, he's like I like working boxing, and he goes, I'll lose in boxing, but I'll beat any fighter if they put on skates. And he's like, it's just different.
He's right.
And then like his grip strength is so strong just from years of, and like even in jiu-jitsu, like I can't break his grip because and then like just imagine having balance to either fight or shoot for that matter. Like having that balance on rollerblades to shoot, like your core strength and the decision making with the puck. Like,
yeah, I mean, think about that. Like you're controlling a puck the size of a hamburger with a stick on skates with other people running into you, intentionally trying to keep you from control. That's so many different obstacles. There's a lot going on there. Like so we talk about fighting. I'm like, shit, man. Like we fight in a controlled environment. We're not on skates. Yeah. We got to balance. We don't have sticks trying to control something. We don't have other people trying to knock us while we're trying to do this, trying to concentrate on a hamburger-sized puck. No, hockey's a lot.
I don't want to let anyone behind the curtain right now, but whenever I'm having these conversations and people are talking about how hard fighting is, I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, man, fighting is so fucking easy compared to all this
I know. Like it's not that hard, man. Stay in position. Get in an athletic position. Keep your hands up. Those straight punches. Not that difficult.
Keep the elbows in, chin down.
Yeah. All right. Brian, as always, you my dog. I appreciate you staying up late to get this done. We're gonna keep it rolling, we're gonna keep it moving. And let's chop it up again next week, right?
Absolutely. We got good the round table GFL draft guys, you fans, please like, subscribe, and share. We're gonna do more of those. We're gonna do some more live conversations. It was a lot of fun, and please be part of them.
Bet that up, man. So appreciate everybody, and on that note, this court is adjourned.